them set up, if not soon.
The,
Laptops,
yes, the rest of the board members should have theirs next week, and new equipment's coming in on Monday.
coming in on Monday. So, it's a good time to talk about the future, immediate future, and, into the winter here, December, January, February, and so on. My personal preference is to have in-person meetings so long as we can do it safely. I think we've managed elections and use of the village hall, and we've tried to stay open as much as possible, but there may come a time where we'll have to go to virtual, or maybe a hybrid, where some people are virtual, some are in person. I'm concerned about the public's health and the interaction with the public. I'm concerned about our employee health here, and we have, cases of within our employment ranks, and board members, and getting quorums. And if you're to isolate because you either have a positive test or a member of your household has a positive test, even though you may feel fine or asymptomatic and be able to work and attend a board meeting, you're not supposed to come here. And with at least a virtual or a hybrid virtual, you'll still be able to participate. And if enough board members are unable to participate in person, there won't be a quorum, and we won't have a meeting. So that's my concern. Earlier this year, as everybody probably remembers, along with many municipal officials, including our county government executive, Paul Farrell, declared an emergency whereby we could suspend the meetings, and I could sign checks and keep the government running. I was, as stated last March, I was reluctant to do that. I don't know that that's, if it's necessary, I'll do it again, but I prefer to at least have some sort of meeting and keep the board meeting together. People are shaking their heads. I think you all agree with that. So that's why, we took advantage of the Routes to Recovery grant money to get equipment in here so we could, proceed to that step, and now it's time to proceed, I think. So Trustee Mahalik.
This is just an add-on to what you're saying. Based on circumstances, okay, we may have to make some unusual things, and I saw things that came out from the county and Attorney Macy. So I think that if, oh gosh, in an unusual circumstance like this that we're going through, you do what you gotta do.
Right, and so I would propose that we start developing a policy whereby we can meet virtually or at least on a hybrid basis, and bring that back in December, our first meeting in December, if necessary. And who knows? I mean, this thing is going such that the whole state emergency could close down, or right after Thanksgiving, and who knows? And if I have to declare an emergency proclamation, I'll do it, because we can't not keep our government here running. But we'll proceed under that basis. I know we have some public hearings coming up. I think we'll be able to get overflow into the garage by then and help keep everybody safe here. So we'll proceed with that. Do we have a consensus on that? I mean, to proceed with some kind of policy and get it up on the agenda.
All right.
And my idea on the policy is to not necessarily limit it to COVID, because there might be people just isolating because they have to, or required to, or requested to because of a household member. So you don't necessarily have to be sick not to participate, or to call in. But we don't want it to be it so that everybody can go to Arizona or somewhere, but.
Or
Yes,
Florida.
Trustee Slavin.
As soon as you get your PCs, it'll take a little getting used to, because the software on it is not the home version of Windows. It's the business version, and the latest and greatest business version, which is really geared to putting everything in the cloud, okay? So there's there's a lot of differences in how it works a little bit. It works fine, it's just different, okay? But there are two things on there, software-wise. One is Skype, which we can do all the virtual meetings with, but it has shortcomings. The other is a software product called Teams.
Say again, that's
Team,
Microsoft.
TEAM?
yep.
And that's a Microsoft
And that's
product.
a Microsoft product. It's a lot tighter, better controlled than Skype is. Thing I got all excited about is when we're all here, sitting right here, we all log into Teams, you just set up a meeting, sort of like net meeting used to be. You set up your meeting, and then the computer that Karen's driving, or whoever's driving the train for the meeting, you all will be able to see on your computers. So you won't have to be squinting up at that puppy, trying to read the spreadsheet, which,
Oh,
even
huge.
here, I can't do. No. So that would be useful right here, but with the meeting set up, you can log into the meeting from anywhere. So you could, if you were sick, you could still log into the meeting. So take a look at that and see what you think of it, type of thing. So when we get to doing the not a referendum, whatever we're gonna do.
Some kind of policy,
Yeah, the policy thing.
right.
You have some viable input on it.
And I've been practicing on mine. I've tried a Zoom call on mine, WebEx call on mine, and a GoToMeeting call, which is another software, GoTo.
Yeah.
A lot of municipal governments are using GoToMeeting.com, and, so there's various meeting softwares that we can use too, and we'll have to make some kind of decision. It's very hard to pick which one's better. I'd rather rely on maybe Ron's input to our IT consultant's input on what the most appropriate, or there's security, there's ease of use. You've got to comply with the Attorney General of Wisconsin's rules and regulations, and Attorney Macy has reminded us of that for open meetings for the public. The public's got to be able to participate. We do have public comments. I think there ought to be an ability to, at the beginning of the meeting, just like if they were sitting in the audience, be able to go on theirs and give a public comment, and then at the end of their 3 minutes, we'll warn them, and then you mute them, and they can't get back into the meeting, just like they're not supposed to be here interrupting our meeting. So, and they can always watch, and it's supposed to be seamless on YouTube, streaming live, so we could be running a meeting here. It could also be streaming on YouTube. Of course, there's no interaction on YouTube, but the public could be watching at the same time, just like they can now. Hopefully with our new equipment, it'll be much more reliable.
Yes, that'd be nice.
But they will be able to hear, watch and hear?
Watch and hear.
Thank you.
When's that due to come on board?
They're starting Monday,
Oh,
Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday,
Good.
to get everything up and running.
okay, so by our next meeting, we'll be
Yep.
pretty well on.
Right, so I would hope we could get some sort of policy, resolution policy together, maybe get Ron's input about what kind of meeting format we can use, make sure that we can comply with all the state laws, and get that on an agenda to get it approved, and have a training session. I assume we're gonna need a training session.
Yep.
And I think we'll be looking for people to actually know how to run the hosting. I think you need to do it, be able to do it. You might be sick or out, then I should probably be able to do it. Maybe we'll get one more volunteer.
Jim.
Jim or somebody. Or draft somebody.
Well, it's nice to have a fallback, because you never know.
Yeah.
You never know what could happen.
Right, we'll all try our best not to get sick. But,
But it's better being proactive than, instead of reactive.
right, and if it's not COVID, it could be anything. I don't want to limit it to COVID. If you have a bad case of the flu, you shouldn't be here anyway. So it's any kind of illness, or, a broken bone or hospitalization or whatever, where you're unable to physically get here, but you can still participate.
Right.
Okay, do we have a, well, then let's talk about, a little bit about in-person. There are municipal governments, from what I understand, closing down their offices, just like they did in March and
Mugwanago's
April.
never opened up, the
And there-
town.
There's some that
town.
have never opened up.
Town of Mugwanago has never opened up since COVID started,
You're kidding.
except for the election.
Oh, we,
All their meetings are virtual. And the city of Waukesha, aren't they still virtual?
They're still virtual, I think,
They have like 34 aldermen or,
right? And
Well,
village,
that's a pretty good crowd.
right? I think Waukesha County and the court system is opening up to a limited extent,
Register as Deeds has never opened,
never open to in-person, right?
still
So-
not open.
Still not open, so we're, we're doing better here, I think, as far as serving our residents, but
Mhm.
in a way that, we haven't gotten health department calls saying you've come in contact, and the elections have,
No, we haven't run into any problems at all.
so we
And-
need to keep it that way, but, and I'm not suggesting that you close, I'm just saying,
Oh,
we
absolutely.
might have to. And, well,
We
or
wear masks.
semi-close by appointment
We keep the
only.
windows closed, we wear masks, the
And you've
people that
got
are coming.
plexiglass
Mhm.
already,
And the people
so-
that are coming in are wearing masks too.
and you keep the lobby to 2 people, or,
Mhm.
family groups or household groups, and I think people are our residents are pretty good about it.
And all of our committees, when they meet, they're distancing. Before they come, we disinfect, after they leave, we disinfect. So we do a lot of but that machine that the board approved, that is, instead of going beep, 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 beep,
Yeah.
Right,
those
and
are
our
nice.
air purification and circulation system has been upgraded, so,
oh,
which was before the election, so the people that were voting through here were, kept their distance, I think, pretty much, and
oh, the people did great. Really great.
so, but it gets concerning to me once we get to, 1 in every 50 or 55 or 60 people, and you think the people in Vernon, it's 1 in 60 is, to me, is a big number when you think of the number of people in Vernon and people so. Okay, well, we will, obviously, things change, we've got some direction here by consensus to proceed, and I just think we need to be ready, and we'll have as soon as we get set up, I would assume we'd want a practice meeting, or training session, we'd call it, not a meeting where we're deciding things, but a training session, and we either can do it here all spread out, or if people can stay at home and log in, however they want to do it, however they feel comfortable, and
That would be cool. Somebody, some people here, some people home, just to see how that works.
yeah, and I would contemplate that we could be all virtual, but more likely that we'd have some kind of hybrid approach where if you're well enough and comfortable enough to be in person, you could be here, otherwise you could be virtually in, the public could be virtually in, and a lot of municipalities, I think, do it that way.
Mhm.
So. Okay, so that's letter A. Letter B is the building ordinance DSPS letter. This was at staff, we had this issue, and now it's still unresolved. I don't know what the latest is.
Well, I have been emailing the board on the discussion between the state and Vince. Vince and I are formulating a response to the letter of delegation that the Department of Safety and the DSPS, Public Safety, sent in regards to our building code. And we're also, at the next board meeting, going to pass a resolution that indicates that the ordinances that they cite in our building code are policing ordinances, and they don't supersede the state code, administrative code, or the state statutes in regards to building, our building code ordinance. So before we send that on to the state, we'll copy the board, and then at the next board meeting, we'll do a resolution that indicates that we absolutely acknowledge the state statutes and administrative codes, and our ordinance is just policing, it's not statutory.
Will our ordinance say that?
Yes, but they still want, even though John's law firm, our law firm has the language in there that anything, and as the statutes or administrative codes change, so do our ordinances. And there's two things. Number one, they want to, us to tell them we are the village, even though they got it from the DOA. Acknowledge that we are the village of Vernon, and acknowledge that our ordinances are policing. We do acknowledge all the state statutes, we do acknowledge all the administrative codes, and we're gonna do it line by line in a resolution. So as soon as Vince and I complete that, we'll get it to the board. That way, if you have any comments on it before it goes up to the state. But that's gonna make them happy, it'll make John happy. Because I don't know, President Fortner, I think you concur with the language that's in our ordinances are
Yes, I
pretty
do.
clear, but the state's being a little sassy here. So we're just trying to make everybody happy.
What started this, because our changing of status?
No, well, that's one thing, but the state has hired a consultant to
Oh.
look through, it's every village, town, and city. And there's other municipalities that are in a lot worse shape than, like I said, the things that they're citing on is, number one, we're now a village and our ordinances say town. But there's also the language in our ordinances that say we came a village and we accept our town ordinances as village.
Right.
So the resolution will address that, and then the letter of delegation will address specifically their issues as it relates to our building ordinance.
So this has nothing to do with the issue about, whether we're qualified to do electrical inspection?
No, there was they lost some of the paperwork there. We were completely up to
Is that,
credentialed, yes, that's not an issue.
okay.
Karen, in the letter from, whatever the initials are, I can see SPS, it said in here that, as a town, whatever we had submitted is no longer valid, I understand. Then it says to continue your request under the administrative code, I won't go into it, the number, please submit to the department an ordinance adopted by the village of Vernon. Can we just spin around the town of Vernon?
No, we have to actually do a resolution. We're
A
not gonna.
resolution, but,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're not gonna do an ordinance because both the building inspector and the attorney believe our ordinances stand and address both the state statute and the
Okay.
administrative code. The resolution should make everybody happy, and then the response individually on the letter of delegation
All right,
to the state should clarify that also.
okay. Because I read this and I thought,
Yeah, well, I felt bad because Vince is really, obviously, that's his department, taking the bull by the horn.
yeah,
And working with Edita, she's very easy to work with, but Vince has been having
I'm sorry,
trouble.
working with,
Edita, she is one of the consultants that
Thank
the
you.
state hired.
sorry,
And Vince was having a little bit of trouble with the other gentleman, but as long as we do these things the way the state would like them, then everybody will be happy.
yeah.
And
Thank you.
we'll be compliant as far as the
Yep,
state's.
thank you.
That's it, Mr. President.
Any other questions on that? Yeah, I think it's, I'm not too excited about any of this, except that we could either fight the state or, do this resolution. It seems to me the simplest path is to do the resolution, even though some of us might think it's kind of
Well, I'm
nonsense.
not arguing that point.
Yeah.
I just, when I read that sentence, it kind of, I wasn't quite sure what they were meaning.
Right. Okay, next item on the agenda, 6C, Human Resource Committee report and agendas. I know our Human Resource Committee has been hard at work. I asked trustee Slani if they were ready to give us some preliminary report on where they're at, and if they need any further direction. We gave them earlier direction, at least twice, and if there is further direction that they needed, or next steps, or if they had a timetable, or, even just a simple report, I'm not sure, and they had a meeting, you had a meeting yesterday, I think,
Yeah, earlier this week on Monday.
or Monday, sorry.
And, what I'm gonna hand out is, a copy of the job descriptions that we have prepared, one for the clerk administrator, one for the treasurer. I also included a draft of the deputy clerks, okay, which would be the 5 or 6 ladies in there. That's just draft form, so we have a finished working on that one, but I wanted you to get a feel for how that one was going. And then, of course, the treasurer. Now, what I'd like you to do is take these home with you, read them, mark up whatever comments you might have, and then get them back to either Lorraine or I, so that we can incorporate it, or at least evaluate what you guys are thinking, for our next board meeting, prior to our next board meeting, so that we could come with the final version and say, this is our recommendation, so that we can move on and proceed with the, posting the jobs and that type of thing, based on what the board decides on.
Right,
I've
so
also
the board gets to, the board will get to approve, just to be clear, approve the job descriptions and the posting, so,
Yes.
just to be clear, okay.
I've also included what we were thinking of using for ads, the information that we would place for ads, just that you would have that for your perusal as well. And again, any suggestions or comments, if you want to just pass those out of the way. And there's one for you and Karen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So,
Thanks, Wayne.
you know, obviously, we're not gonna have a lot of responses necessarily in December, but we need to get this thing wrapped up and where we wanna go with it. Hopefully by December first, early in December, at any rate, whenever our first meeting is, so that we can get it posted and perhaps be getting, responses back, in January. That way we could ferret through the week from the chaff and come up with our suggestions on who to interview, for the board to interview, and potentially hire. Because we've got that date of February 15th or 16th, I don't remember which.
16th.
Funny, you
That's-
should remember that.
It's election day.
Yeah,
It's election day.
yeah,
Really?
yes,
Who picked that date?
yes. We figured that out 2 months ago.
I picked this.
That,
Figured that out about 12 hours too late, but yeah,
Yeah, when I had my job thing. I said,
yeah.
You
it's like-
realize you,
that brings up a couple of questions, Jim.
Yeah.
First of all, are we going to see all of the people that apply at the board level for interviews?
Well, I think that's up for discussion, and maybe, our next meeting, that could be a recommendation.
Yeah, I would,
Where you'd say, I want to see everybody, or I want to see the final three.
yeah.
I mean,
that's-
personally, I would like, it's just like, we're gonna get into it on the agenda, contract for police.
Right.
And there, they're gonna hire someone, we had 2 proposals, and they both said they were going to hire someone for
right.
Vernon, and offered, at least the sheriff has offered, I think Big Ben probably did too, that we would get down to 3 and we could interview that
See,
person.
I don't mind, but I think,
So Gary, what are you thinking?
The
Looking
final
at everybody,
decision
or the
should-
final 3 or 4, whatever it
yes,
is?
that's fine with me. I don't believe we need to see, if, say you had 10, 12 people, I don't want to sit here and interview 10 or 12 people. I think their job is fine, as long as they can narrow it down to like the final 2 or 3 people, so that we have an opportunity to see this individual and ask questions of them like we've done in the past with most everybody that we've hired in the town, or, pardon me, the village. That was the town at that time.
Working plan so far. the
Good,
committee, that we were
good.
gonna ferret out,
Okay,
the 3 top that we would recommend.
that, I can live with that, that's fine and dandy, because that eliminates a lot of listening to people. What we did when we interviewed for the recreation director, we got people in here that had no business coming in front of us because it was a waste of our time. These people had no qualifications, they had no, they were looking for a job, and it didn't, we had people that were overqualified, and I would just as soon have you guys take care of that problem before it gets to us. If we could see the final 3 people, it'd be fine, or if it's 2,
Yeah,
whatever you recommend, in that regard.
2 things. One, we have 2 highly dedicated human resources people on the committee.
Okay,
These two guys, and Pat, our head of the committee is,
yeah, no,
she's only interested in doing it the right way, and that's been her suggestion from the beginning.
The
And then-
suggestion of,
Pardon me?
the suggestion being,
To, we interview all of them, the committee, and refer the best three out of the bunch. That's what we've been thinking.
or if you only get one, that's fine, no,
Well, see, that's the thing. I'm kind of a skeptic on this deal, and that, you know, I don't know how many resumes we're gonna see, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
yeah.
Now, knowing what's going on in Waukesha and some of the other towns, we may see a whole bunch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's fine, you know,
Keep it
that,
in mind, that you go through these things and, most of it was culled from information that we got from Karen. I mean, a lot of the details of what she's doing now, what her people are doing, that type of thing. The treasurer one is kind of a combination of our thinking. One of the other advantages on the committee is we have two past treasurers on the committee. You know, so they kind of know what the treasurer needs to do when you used to have a separate treasurer. So that's facilitated that, and then of course you got the statutes for the treasurer and potential deputy treasurer. And that was why we were looking at, one of the reasons why we were looking at the, whether we wanna outsource the tax collection or not. Is because if you don't do that, then in all likelihood, although we got a year to figure this out, you may need to bring somebody in for December or January, whatever the busiest time is. But we kind of decided to pass on that concept at this point. Just mention it to the board that it's a possibility, has a lot of change. If we outsource it, we won't need that person. And we may not need that person either, depending on how the mail thing works. You know, if people are depositing their stuff, either at Citizens or wherever, however we're doing, we may not need that extra person. And we haven't done that assistant treasurer, I'll pass these out to you, just so you have it for reference. Or deputy treasurer position, because that's pretty much gonna be a one-liner. You're gonna do whatever the treasurer tells you to do, which is exactly what the statute down at the bottom of the page pretty much says.
And we'll get some more information on that regard, tax collection, I think, this December, and
yeah.
we may find that little window door, people are gonna just put them in there and not deal with in-person transactions.
Were you gonna put on the agenda, Carl, in regard to that, tax collecting, procedure? Cause we need to probably resolve that pretty quickly. At least, unless we wanna wait until next year.
Well, it
And have
depends
it-
upon how the salary is going to be set for that position. If it's salary or hourly, I'm less concerned because the hours are at the end.
Okay.
Salary, you'd have to set a salary taking into account the December hours. And if that person quits in November, how we've overpaid, you know, I'm
Are we
concerned about that. And then, if that's the case, then if we're gonna be on straight salary, I think you gotta make the decision before you hire someone. If you are paid hourly, we
Yeah,
could
then
decide later.
That's different.
The recommendation from the committee is gonna be hourly.
Okay, so,
Oh, well,
The recommendation from the committee will be hourly.
I like that. I think that's,
Mentioned the possibility of salary, and a couple of the ladies wanted to bite my head off, you know.
well, I think hourly is the way to approach it myself with the lack of interest not interest, but the lack of duties in the summertime, you may not have to have a person in here on a daily basis or a weekly basis. They may
Right.
only have to come in, you know, so. That's,
Probably the general consensus is we're thinking
is hourly?
is hourly, and they're probably only gonna have to be in the office a couple of days a week.
Yeah.
And maybe,
And not for a very long
and
period?
not for
You know,
long
just
periods.
long enough to take care of their business.
It's just that December and January would
That's
be
a
the busy
different
period
ballgame.
where they might even need help.
Yep,
You know,
that's a different ballgame. Yep, I
So we
agree.
figured we got a year to figure out that, see how it goes this year. and-
Yeah.
and
Good.
Yeah,
So, mark them up, get them back to us somehow.
What little I've seen so far, it look good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can we put it in your
thank
box? Can we put it in the
To be
box?
honest, most of that is Pat's. Pat,
She's got everything in physical and everything, you know.
Schleishman.
I'm terrible with last names. You know, so she's put in a lot of the formal stuff that's supposed to be in these kinds of things. Now, these haven't gone to our labor attorney yet. Until after we get your feedback, we'll incorporate that, and then we'll, get permission to send them to.
The thing that gives me, I read through this and I'll look at it again, but I think with Karen's input, that'll add a lot of merit to what's already in there.
Okay, further
Thank you.
Further discussion?
Good job.
Yep, and I'll be interested to see what our residents think about, or not think, how they pay their taxes this year in December. And, you know, I think we have to look at outsourcing taxes, not to say we have to go there,
Oh, no,
but I think it's worthwhile to look at it, and part of it is, how many people really are coming to the window?
Can you keep track of that, Karen?
Yes, I was gonna report to the board, that's something, in fact, I just want to report to you that 5 people have already paid their taxes. And as trustee Lorene Dashick will reiterate, they can only pay what they paid last year. So if they get a refund, they'll get a refund, if they owe, but they can pay what their tax bill was, their previous tax bill.
Previous, yeah.
So we've had 5 of them.
Oh,
That's
they
the,
haven't gotten their tax bill yet.
no, they're not, no.
We haven't even approved our budget yet.
Those are
We could really screw them up.
They like to pay their bill and then go south.
Oh, okay.
I suppose nobody's had.
They want to make sure the money gets in there, the bill gets paid.
And they don't want to do it online. They want to do it, you
Yeah,
know.
or through
In
the mail,
person.
I suppose. Right.
Those people all came in. So 5,
Right.
It's probably the same people every year.
we got a couple newbies.
Okay, good.
Okay, any other discussion? Good, we've got a plan there.
Looks good so far, Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to the committee, and I assume you haven't even touched the employee handbook yet, but
We have not.
hopefully there's still some momentum.
Just-
I'm gonna try and get that
Just,
on our plan for 2021 to get that revised.
Oh, thank you.
just out of curiosity, Jim, at the last meeting, I brought up the fact, you did this for the clerk and the clerk's deputies and everything. Are you planning on attacking the DPW department in regard to job descriptions and that sort of thing?
Well, we weren't planning on it yet.
Okay, no, I'm
The
just
next-
curious.
The next thing in line is gonna be the.
Employees handbook, yeah, well, that's fine. But I was just wondering if that's,
I have copies of what used to be the DPW job descriptions, because,
yeah, that's need to be
you
updated.
know, but you probably got it updated from.
But it's, that's something that should just give the Human Resource Committee, not that you're working on it now, but it's nice
No,
to have.
in the future, something to keep you busy.
Well, you could.
Keep you busy.
Thanks.
What do you do with all this spare time?
And I assume, Gary, when you used the word attack, you didn't mean really attack.
No. No, I just thought that, as being a human resource committee, this would be if you're gonna do this, it'd probably be good to do for everybody, I don't know, we need no job descriptions because we're elected, but employees, and I'm wondering about the fire department. Of course, they have their own
Fire commission,
fire commission that handles them.
right?
Yeah, I don't know that I want to battle.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say, Gary, I
don't
wouldn't
think
bring
you wanna
that
get
up.
involved with them, yeah. But okay, no, I appreciate all the hard work.
Thank you.
Okay, Moving on to correspondence announcements and reports. We'll start with the village board. Trustee Solani.
Thank you. First thing I wanna congratulate Karen and her minion for the job you did on the elections. I've gotten a number of compliments on it, probably, not an exaggeration, about a half dozen different people have contacted me to tell me how smooth that it went. I don't know if that was because the last time we had elections, it was so hot, people were kind of miserable doing it, or, but it seemed to go real smooth. Also, the lighting arrangement was greatly appreciated.
Oh,
So to me, that was a job well done.
thank you, Jim.
Good job. I'll skip the rest of it now.
Okay, Trustee Wildy.
I also got some comments in regard to the speed in which people were able to get in here and vote. There was no big hangups, so they were well pleased. I think the whole election procedure went smoothly, and everybody should appreciate the work that went into doing that. Also, I want to make mention that Saturday starts deer season, and be very careful about driving around. I almost got one tonight on Center, just coming to this meeting. A big doe crossed right in front of me, and they're moving around. And Saturday morning, season opens up, and so be careful out there and be safe.
Trustee Mahalik.
I'd like to remind everybody that with all of the COVID and things that they're now talking about, just be safe for the foreseeable future. And remind everyone that we're preparing for winter. Make sure you turn off your outside faucets. And most importantly, I'd like to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Clean water.
Yep, I forgot that myself.
And-
Yep.
Should I add that?
Back, Karen, I didn't want to spend any more time on the elections, but I did everything that Jim and Jerry said.
Thank you, Trustee Mahalik.
Trustee Dashik.
No, I agree. I think you must have done something very well here during the elections because no one came down with a case of the COVID in our offices. So you must have done a good job.
Said sprayer.
He got everybody doused with it.
And I would, I would like to reiterate those cadoos about the election. I think we did that a couple of weeks ago, including the in-person absentee voting. I've heard people from outside our community mention that in our hours of operation and so on, like I mentioned last time. And yes, the deer are out, and they're running around and standing on roads in our lovely village of Vernon, so be careful hunting. I wish all the hunters a safe and successful hunt. I'd rather have them, harvest the deer and enjoy the venison than have it end up on my hood of my truck. So
I agree.
So, and happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Travel safe if you're traveling. Stay healthy and take reasonable precautions. You know your family and your household the best. So, people were trusting everyone to make good decisions and stay safe. Trustee Mahalik.
I'd like to just follow up on what the president had to say regarding the deer hunting. Please remember, as you usually do, to take care of the deer carcass. It's one thing to be happy about getting a rack, but it's quite another to do something with the deer carcass. And for information, I was not asked this myself, but it just dawned on me that the Lions Club is collecting
Deer hides.
Okay, and so that was called the Lions Club and/or take them over to Bauer Brothers, Skyline, cross intersection is, but it's the first.
Maple Hills.
Farm bill at Payable, thank you. They'll collect your hide, not the carcass.
I was gonna say PU.
Sorry,
Clerk Treasurer.
I just wanted to thank all the election workers, all the deputy clerks, and the board, honest to God, having that extra machine, all the extra lighting, I mean, the board did approve many things that assisted in making the election run very, very well. And again, the amount of voters we have, the 93.5%, that's a great turnout. Also wanted to report to the board that I did apply for the full $124,777 in the Roads to Recovery grant. Also want to report to the board that I did report to the state that we could apply for another, I could write another $300,000 in qualifying expenses the Village of Vernon had in, just to let them know, you wouldn't believe what I tried to do with other communities to ask if I could have their money. But I thought it was valid to report, I have all the receipts for all the $124,000 in a packet here, just in case we do get audited, but I also felt it was important to report to the state the amount of funds. We didn't recuperate the full amount for all of our first responders. We had some other expenses that would qualify also. So I did want to let the board that I applied for the full amount, and then also reported the additional $300,000 that I think we could qualify also, just in case the state is looking for additional funds for communities that need it. And I also wanted to remind Vernon residents that the Village of Vernon does allow rifles for deer hunting, so be extremely careful during deer hunting season, no matter what the gun is. But the Village of Vernon is the only village in Waukesha County that allows rifles. So just to be safe. And the other thing is, I am getting so many requests from hunters asking if they could hunt on town property, and I am telling them that's a board decision. And I'm telling them no until I have something, from this board. There's land in Waukesha County that they can hunt on. There's state land they can hunt on, and the hunters are great about checking with property owners. They know that they can't hunt on someone's property unless they have written consent from that property owner to hunt. But just once again, everybody be good and safe, and have a safe and blessed Thanksgiving.
Okay, thank you. On to finances. And first up are accounts payable, batch 2020-1119, in the amount of $55,925.23. And I just had one question. This is regarding one of our poll workers, Karen. If you look at the sheet, the name on the sheet, I don't know if I need to read their name out loud. And looking at the check register, it's a different name, and I'm just wondering if that name.
Oh, yes, that has to be, that check has to be
Remade? You're right, okay.
Yep, good catch.
And then, one question, I think this is taken care of. We had one of our employees retire, and so there shouldn't be any insurance, but I just wanted to double check. And we've gotten that square, right? Remember, we had to pay and then they refund you and everything?
Yes.
Right. Yes. And it looks like that's been taken care of, at least this month. Okay, those are my two questions. Other questions? So what should we do here? Should we?
So, we're gonna, the amount is right, we'll vote the check out for the person that it says on the register, and make it for Brad instead of Lynn.
Okay, so our motion would be to approve the amount, and then should we have a separate motion or part of the same motion to void that check and reissue it to Brad?
Correct.
Okay, I'm referring to one of the elections poll workers.
Check number 67443.
Yeah, so 67443 needs to be voided and a new check issued. New check reissued. And there we can use their name, reissued to Bradley Sabino, right?
I almost fell over. There's hardly any bills in here from the fire department.
Wait till December.
Yeah.
You caught what I.
Did you caught the same thing? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But with that, is there, how should we do this with that deduction for that one check? Should we take it off?
Well, so,
Void check number 67443 and reissue it to Brad Sabina.
So that the amount of payable is fine.
Yeah.
right, so we can approve, we'll look for a motion to approve the batch number 2020-1119 in the amount of $55,925.23, void check number 67443, and reissue in the same amount, a check in the same amount to Bradley Sabina. How's that for a motion? I'll make that motion, second by trustee Mahala. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so now we are on to ACE,
Yep.
or no, manual
Yep,
checks.
that's
Are
it.
there manual checks? No manual checks, right? No manual checks. ACH, well, yeah, those we need a motion on. Oh, okay, that's why we have September and October. I was wondering about why do we have 2 months? Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's do the ACH, and then we'll swing back, if you will, to item C, which is the budget. We'll need to make a report on that.
Want to do September 1st?
Yes, just do September, ACH transactions in the amount
Of
of,
$96,210.15.
right, right.
That's my motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Let's go to October ACH.
October is so big because there's 3 payrolls, as I'm sure you saw.
Oh, yeah. Just the way the year fell,
There's 3 in July and 3 in October.
over. Is there a motion to approve October ACH transactions in the amount of $141,023.67?
Is that a motion, Tom?
Yeah, I can make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now,
Now we
let's go back to letter C. What was what? Okay. Let's go back to letter C. HC, the 2021 proposed budget. We do have a public hearing date. It's been noticed to occur in person at December 3, 2020 at 7 p.m. Unlike when we were a town, the electors at the meeting had to vote on the tax levy. As a village, there is no voting by residents, and instead it's a hearing. Obviously, there'll be a chance to ask questions and make comments, but ultimately, it's on the board to vote to approve the budget and the tax levy. So that was one thing. The second thing is the board did, approve posting and publishing the budget that we had, and subject to Howard Jensen's, our auditor's review, and the clerk treasurer and I, and worked with Howard to iron it out. He made some changes to both, I wrote them down so I wouldn't screw this up too badly, to both the tax levy limit work page, and the motion, or the direction or motion by the board was we were freezing it right at the tax levy limit. So that number was adjusted slightly. And then when we went to debt, we had a number of proposed for borrowing. And when Howard looked at it, he said, well, we can't borrow money without a payment in 2021. So in order to avoid, and we talked about that during
Yeah.
budget. We thought
We're
maybe that,
trying.
we tried. And so his proposal was to move the 2020 proposed borrowing number into early '21. And so when you look at it, that number, the 201, was added to the debt for
Okay.
2021.
Okay.
And as a result, we were about the same way. The tax rate, the tax levy was at the levy limit,
Yeah.
which was $1.80. So that didn't change that. It changed by fractions of a penny or something.
And Mr. President, this village board watches their financials and knows that you're in no dire straits to borrow the $200,000 for this year. And as you saw from some of the emails from Citizens Bank, you have a lot more flexibility next year. Looking at all of our debt and future purchases, and so that's something that the board's gonna look at. But that's something, I just wanted to the people to know that the village board is watching what's in the funds, and there's no dire need to borrow $200,000 at this point.
Right, we have the cash in order to pay our bills and operate. We do have the COVID grant out, applied for and pending. We're trying to, personally, trying to get my arms around where we're gonna stand at the end of 2020 with regards to, the additional expenditures that we were required to make under COVID, whether it be simple things like
Yeah.
all the extra postage on the election versus, our air circulation system, the special lights and all of that, and how all that's gonna shake out, and the grant money into 2020 and where our fund balances are. So we have the cash flow, that's not an issue. So I would agree that we don't need to we don't need the cash to borrow it. But I think we do need to look at our debt and restructure it so that going forward, we have nice, in my view, level debt payments and borrow the appropriate amount. It may not even be close to 700,000, actually.
Do you have a guess?
Well, you did budget, the 200,000 was in your 2020 budget, and then you did allocate 500,000 for 2021. But a lot of that factors after the audit, when you actually see what your fund balance and contingency funds, that'll give you a good determination. And as the president indicated, the board is gonna look at the interest rates and timeframes that all of the loans out and make a judgment call on consolidation or keeping some the way they are. But I have to say, I'm not doing a commercial, but Citizens Bank has been wonderful about doing that in 2021, after the board's had a chance to look at all the existing loans and what the future markets are.
And I saw it where they
The letter,
had
yeah.
rates for 5 years and 10 years
Mhm.
ago. Right?
Right, and the more money you borrow, the nicer the,
The cheaper the rates is. They want you.
Right, and now that it's been published too, if residents have questions, I've already gotten one email with questions, and they were good ones, of course, and people have questions, certainly shoot them in by email, and we'll try to address them during our budget hearing. It's always nice to, if there's specific questions, we can just address them directly during the hearing and answer their questions, so we'll try to do that.
and Mr. President, as you, I just wanted, and the board fully knows that the proposed budget is on the website, detailed. So if any resident wants to see the detail on all the work that the board did in every fund, it is on the website and printed out. There are some people that don't have computers, so all they have to do is ask, and we do have budgets ready for pickup.
Right, and it's easy to find on the website, unlike some other communities. When I went through trying to see how we were doing compared to others, so.
I've been watching the newspaper, because all of the communities have been publishing usually on Thursday, there's a listing of, this week it was Merton and WCTI. Last week it was the Big Bend and the town of McGuanago. So,
You'll see ours tomorrow.
yep,
The village of Waukesha's public hearing is tonight.
yeah, but they published already. Their budget was in the newspaper a week or so ago. Freeman, yeah, yeah.
So I wanted to make, announce that, I don't know if we need any further notices or motions or ratification of what was published, but, everybody has it, and I wanted to explain what happened between our last board meeting and the motion, and what adjustments Howard made and why, so everybody was clear. Because it does look different than what
Yeah.
what everybody walked away from that meeting. And of course, it's proposed budget, and we'll have it on the agenda for approval and setting the tax levy after the public hearing, obviously. Got to take into account public comments. Okay, questions? We don't need any.
No formal action, you've done all the action that,
Right, okay. And I think I covered D at the same time as that, which is the 2020 and the 2021 loans at the same time. You do have in your packet the Citizens Bank Quarterly Security Report dated September 30. For your information, you've got, September and October financial statements
right.
in your packets. Are there questions on those? While we're on it? Okay, so we're going to minutes. Okay, first up is October 15th, 2020 Village Board. Okay, just a second. Any discussion? I got them in different order.
What's wrong?
My first in my stack is staff report, not the board, so I'm just trying to get it to the right order, sorry.
Yeah, I got. the
Sorry,
same-
sorry.
I got the
Okay,
same
we're on
thing.
the board, not the staff. Okay, any discussion? I had no issues personally, so any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we're on the staff.
Yeah, and you had a change on that one.
No, not,
Oh, that's staff.
I-
Yeah,
I-
November 5th.
November 5th, no, the staff, October 15th, Ron. Yep,
Oh, I'm sorry, wrong.
Yep.
Okay.
October 15th, staff?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now we're on to November 5th, and on that one, I did have some,
Karen wasn't present
yeah,
at the end.
at the end, Karen wasn't present at the end, and we, as I recall, we came out of, this is November 5th. We came out of closed session and then adjourned. I don't believe we took any action whatsoever. So all I would say on that one is to indicate that no formal action was taken on those.
But you adjourned in open session.
Yeah, but we
Okay. Okay.
adjourned in open session. I do think I told you who made the motions and so on, which I
Yes, you
think
did.
you have them in there, so.
Gary and myself.
Yes, yes, so that's right. So with that one change, with that change as noted, is there a second?
I don't know if there was a change as well,
Second.
unless I'm missing something that you said.
Well, the change would be just to note in the minutes that no formal action was taken
I'm sorry.
after we came out of closed session.
Got it, yes. With that, adjust, thinking, yes.
Okay,
And Gary second?
Gary, second.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now we are on to Village Board and Finance Committee workshops,
October 19th.
October 19th.
Can I make a motion to approve?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. October 26th.
Make a motion to approve October 26th.
Is a second by trustee Slaney. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. October 28th.
Make a motion to approve.
Did I make any other changes on any of these things?
The 12th.
Did we skip through? Nope, that's
November-
coming up,
We haven't got to it yet.
not coming up.
So
Okay,
that was Fred.
okay, Fred, did I
Trustee-
have a
I'm
second?
sorry.
This is October 28th. Any discussion?
Trustee
All-
Solani was the second, I'm sorry.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. November 4.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Dashek. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're on to the 9th.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Then we're on to Monday, the 12th or the 11th?
12th,
The 11th.
11th. Oh, wait a minute, yeah, it does say,
Wait, the agenda says the 11th.
But it is the 12th.
It is the 12th.
okay.
Fix the typo in the agenda, I guess. So this would be Monday, November 12th.
And Carl, you have something on that one?
I had something on that one under 4A, little Roman numeral 4, the motion that I made. It's just the wording, President Carl Fortner moved to instruct the clerk treasurer is my only change. So,
I'll second that with the change.
okay, any other
Carl, was that
discussion?
your motion?
That was,
I know Fred seconded.
With the change,
Fred,
made the motion.
you made the motion. Do we have a second? I'll second.
If anybody thinks that you guys aren't busy, they should look at all these minutes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
I'd like to just make it.
6.
Let's vote on this and then.
okay. Yeah, there's 6 of them on here for workshops. Okay. Any further discussion on November 12th? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd just like to make a general comment in case people are watching. I'm making a motion after an item comes up, because I've already reviewed these at home. So it's not that I'm just picking up a piece of paper and making.
Yeah, I
Doing
can,
it with some prior insights.
yep.
Right.
Prior insights.
Right, and that's why we come up with changes and questions. We are now on next village meeting dates, which I will read. We have the 2021 proposed budget and public hearing, December 3 at 7 PM. Village Board on December 3 and 17 at 7 PM. We have a joint Village Board and Plan Commission meeting December 9th, 2020 at 7 PM. That is going to be a public hearing as well to amend the Vernon zoning code and land division control ordinance and the new Vernon floodplain ordinance. So we invite the public to attend that or provide comments. That'll also be up on the website. Is it already up on the website?
Oh, absolutely.
It's already up on
And
the
printed
website.
out. All of our public hearings are always printed out for people to see and always on the website, Mr. President.
Okay, so that's coming up December 9, which is a Wednesday, 7 o'clock. So with that, we're on to item 12, and I will make a motion to move into closed session as previously now announced and as set forth in the agenda. Is there a second? Second for trustee Mahalik. The motion will require a roll call vote.
President Carl Fortner.
Yes.
Trustee Jim Solani.
Yes.
Trustee Gary Weldy.
Yes.
Trustee Fred Mahalik.
Yes.
Trustee Lorraine Dashik.
Yes.
Mr. President, I'll note for the record that your village board has voted to go into closed session unanimously by voice vote.
Thank you. As a reminder to the public, no action is going to be taken, should not be taken, and we do not take action in closed session. We are on the agenda to reconvene in open session to take formal action on the items listed, which include contracted police services and employment and other contracts. So with that, we will take a 5-minute break and convene in closed session at 8:15. Thank you.
Karen, there were